Bloomsphere was reporting with video, and now it's in the British press as well, that Turkish-backed FSA forces chased U.S. special forces out of the Syrian town of Al-Rai. Do you have any concern that the forces that Syria is that the forces that Turkey is supporting in Syria may not be so moderate?
I have a concern that the forces Turkey is supporting in their
rebels that accompany Turkish forces into Syria to have like Turkish influence in certain parts of, the border towns in Syria, and this is the town of Al-Rai. And they had some issue with the U.S. Special Forces that were with them. They chased them out very dramatically, shouting Islamic slogans, calling them dogs, pigs, American agents. So it raises the question of just what kind of people, what kind of rebels is Turkey supporting? Are these guys truly moderate people you want to see in control in Syria?
Well, look, on the incident itself, I'd refer you to my colleagues at the Defense Department. I've not seen this video, and I certainly wouldn't speak to what is so clearly a defense issue. So I can't confirm the video that you're referring to. And that means I also don't know of the slurs that you're saying were uttered. Obviously, if that's true, that would be concerning, of course. What we said before about the work that Turkish forces have done along that border, which was work, with the exception, of course, of the clashes that were had over a period of several days with Kurdish forces. What I'm talking about is the reason for Turkish forces to be there was one that the coalition was in favor of and was supportive of, which was to help clear that stretch of border, not clear it, but secure that stretch of border against the flow of foreign fighters, support and supplies to Daesh. And we knew all along that as they did that they would be teaming up with some opposition forces. And they have been successful in largely doing exactly that. So let's keep in mind the greater goal here, which was to choke off that stretch of border so that Daesh can't use it to sustain itself and to support its terrorist activities.
In addition to this incident in the Al-Ra, there's also a report from NBC saying that U.S. Special Forces were actually fired on by these opposition forces. And I just want to go over some of the phrases that are attributed to these forces are, "Get out, you pigs," "Dogs, agents of America," "Go away, you coalition of crusaders." What message are these forces trying to send?
Well, again, I can't confirm the reports about this, but let me be clear. If it's true, obviously that kind of rhetoric is not acceptable as part of what should be a coalition designed to go after a common enemy, which is Daesh. And we certainly wouldn't condone that kind of bombastic and pugilistic rhetoric against, frankly, our forces or anybody else that is designed, engaged in the fight against Daesh. I just don't know, not seen it, and I would refer you to DOD to speak to the specifics of the actual video.
This is a change in tone for the Syrian opposition? They don't normally talk this way?
I don't know. You'd have to talk to the Syrian opposition about the way they talk, but as I said before, this is, let's not talk about the opposition as a monolith, okay? It's not one organization with one worldview or even one perspective and point of view about the fight going on in Syria, and we have long acknowledged that there are groups that are more moderate than others. I mean, that is, that's not a new idea. But look, if it's true, obviously, it's reprehensible language.
And is it in the interest of the United States to align with such forces?
It is in the interest of the United States to continue to press the fight against Daesh in Syria. And there's a coalition now of 66 countries that are doing just that. And we will continue to support those moderate opposition forces, those moderate forces, I should say, because they're not, it's not just about opposition. It's not really about the opposition to Assad. It's about the fight against Daesh. So we're going to continue to support those forces in Syria that are able and willing to press the fight against Daesh.
And if the Syrian government were to fall, forces with that kind of perspective would get a lot stronger, wouldn't they?
Well, again, I don't want to engage in hypotheticals here, and you have to understand. Now we're starting to blur here a little bit. We don't believe that there's a military solution to the civil war, and that is why we're working so hard to get the political talks back on track. Against Daesh, obviously, military efforts have and will continue to be used, and there are forces arrayed against Daesh in Syria that we will continue to support as they continue to prove to be willing and able to do that. But that fight is separate from the diplomatic track that we're trying to pursue in terms of bringing about the end of the civil war in Syria.